Forum presented by the Arlington Heights Memorial Library and the League of Women Voters. My name is Jennifer Chaika, and I am the Programs and Exhibits Manager at the library. I'm very happy to welcome you today to be at one of three forums. If you registered for this event, this is the first of three, and each of the forums has a unique link to join. So please do come back for School District 25 or School District 214, but just remember you will have to enter through a separate link. I'd very much like to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us to partner to present this. It's very important for the library to be part of providing access to get to know the candidates, to be part of the democratic process. And we encourage you always to come to us if you have questions. We have information set up on our website, which you can access at ahml.info/vote. So we are always a source of information for you, the community, as well as the League of Women Voters, who do so much work to make sure you have access to candidates. During today's forum, you will have one survey pop up, which will ask how many people in your household are watching. That's just very helpful for us to know what our reach is today. You will also have a survey pop up at the end, and we'd love to hear how the candidate forum met your needs. I'm really happy to tell you that today's forum is going to be interpreted in ASL. You can see Stacy on screen. If you need Stacy's ASL services, please pin her video now. There is also closed caption enabled, and you should see that at the bottom of your screen. So please go ahead and enable that if you'd like to use the closed captioning. And the chat is open to panelists. So if you have a question and need help, you can reach any of the panelists here that are supporting the event. You will not be able to chat with other attendees. And without further ado, I'm going to pass to Katie Bullis, who is our MC for today. So Katie, thank you for being our MC with League of Women Voters.
Welcome to the Candidate Forum put on by the League of Women Voters of Arlington Heights and the Arlington Heights Memorial Library. My name is Katie Bullis, a fifth grader at Olive Mary Stitt Elementary in Arlington Heights. I am from the League of Women Voters of Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, Buffalo Grove area, and am also a member of our Emerging Leaders program. If you use closed captioning, please turn it on via live transcript at the bottom of your screen next to raised hands. Founded in 1920 out of the suffragette movement giving women the right to vote, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Providing this forum allows candidates to become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for the office. We are happy to provide this service for the community. To send in questions for the candidates, please text 224-306-9521 or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. All of the candidates were contacted by email or phone prior to today. The candidates have agreed to abide by the ground rules provided by the League of Women Voters. They are as follows. Our moderator has drawn names for speaking order and will rotate this order during the forum for questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their introductions. Next, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer questions. At the end, each candidate will have a 2-minute closing. League members will act as timers. Candidates will be given a 30-second and 15-second warning, so we ask candidates to quickly complete their thoughts before they see the stop card. Time limits will be enforced out of respect for all candidates. Questions will be provided by the audience. Each question will be answered by all candidates, so please, audience, only ask questions related to the office being sought. Again, we only use questions that can be answered by all candidates. Please send questions to 224-306-9521 or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. Questions will be reviewed by League volunteers for clarity, appropriateness, and to avoid duplication. Candidates have been asked not to interrupt one another. The moderator will repeat a question if asked. The candidates are to speak to the audience. I'd like to introduce our moderator for today's event, Lucy Nisi, who's a sophomore at Prospect High School. Lucy is also an emerging leader in our league and serves on our board of directors.
Thank you, Katie. We'll now start our candidate forum. We ask that you bear with us and note that technology is what it is, and we are all working to ensure that this event runs as smoothly as possible. With me on screen, we have our candidates, our ASL interpreters, Staddy Shine Stapleton and Patty Shore Caden, and our timer, league member Courtney Dirksen. Our ASL interpreters will be switching about halfway through the program, so you might have to pin a new ASL interpreter about halfway. I'll give you a heads up if that changes. I would like to note that the Q&A chat has been disabled for all attendees. So if you would like to submit a question for the candidates, please text this number, 224-306-9521, or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. I'll repeat that, and it should be in the chat for you to reference. We will start this forum with candidate Tenalia, candidate for the Village of Arlington Heights trustee. Candidates, please notice the timer. When you see the stop sign, you may finish your thought. The candidates will be in the following order for 2-minute opening statements: candidate Tenalia, candidate Baldino, candidate Grassi, candidate Bertucci, candidate Beiersdorf, and candidate Dunnington. Candidate Tenalia, please begin your 2-minute opening statement.
Okay, thank you, Lucy, and thank you to the library and the league for putting this program together. It's wonderful, and I'm blessed to be here. Thank you for having us. A little bit about me, I'll be as brief as I can here. My family moved to Arlington Heights in 1971. I'm 59 years old, so I'm a 50-year resident here in Arlington Heights. My wife also is a lifelong resident here, and we raised 4 children. All of us, my wife, myself, my kids, we've all gone through District 25, District 214. My degree is from Iowa State University, and so I'm a practicing architect here in town. I have a business here as well. I'm dug in. I mean, I'm as dug into this community as anyone could be, I believe. And I find it's difficult to find someone who's been here longer and still breathing air. But I'm here for the duration, whatever that brings me. I've been a trustee for 2 terms. I've been a trustee for 8 years. So I've seen some wonderful things happen for our town. I've participated in some wonderful debates. People tell me that I approach things with a level head. I see things from both the creative side as well as the engineering side. I use both sides of my brain because an architect needs to do that. I've been trained to do that. There's never been an architect on our village board before me. I'm the only architect that ever has been elected. So I hope to use these skills for the next 4 years to weigh in and help with discussions and deliberations on some challenging topics that we're going to be facing. And one of the biggest is Arlington Park. What's going to happen to Arlington Park? So I'll leave it at there. I see my timer's down to almost 0. So thank you for having us.
Thank you. Candidate Baldino, please begin your 2-minute opening statement.
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Arlington Heights Memorial Library for holding this forum. Thank you also to our moderator, Lucy Nisi, and thank you to all of you that are watching. I am Rich Baldino, and I am running for re-election for a 2nd term to the Arlington Heights Village Board. My family and I have lived here since 1999. We've raised 2 kids here who attended the public schools, participated in many Park District programs, and have spent many hours volunteering at our church and within the community. The most important thing to keep in mind about me is that I'm an environmental scientist. That perspective shapes how I think about policy and has led me to focus on sustainability in village government. Sustainability means different things to different people, so let me explain what I mean about that. Sustainability focuses on meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. The concept of sustainability is built on 3 pillars: the economic pillar, the environmental pillar, and the social pillar. For the economic pillar, I'm focused not just on business growth, but I'm looking for diversity in business types. In the past, we've welcomed a tattoo parlor, a motorcycle repair shop, and pet suites, in addition to the dining and entertainment businesses that have opened. Diversity in business enterprises in the village makes our local economy more resilient to economic downturns and gives us a stronger tax base to keep property taxes low. The next pillar is the environmental pillar, and I'm focused mostly on infrastructure as it relates to sustainability here in Arlington Heights. The last pillar is the social pillar and working towards DEI. I am committed to making our village a stronger, more sustainable community for everyone as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Grassi, please begin your 2-minute opening statement. Candidate Grassi.
Thank you. I had to unmute. Sorry. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and thank you to the library and the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. I'm happy to be here. My name is Nicole Grassi. I am a 20-year resident of Arlington Heights. My husband Mike spent his entire career teaching math and science with High School District 214, and we intentionally chose Arlington Heights to be our home to raise our daughter Claire. She's currently a junior at Rolling Meadows High School right now, and we love it here. A little bit about me and why I'm running for village trustee. I'm actually the oldest of 4 children. I grew up in a small Wisconsin town called Rhinelander, where my parents had a sporting goods store and were small business owners. The Northwoods was really a great place to grow up with the beauty of the outdoors and the safe community where it felt like everybody knew each other. I grew up in a traditional life where the world was truly available to me, and I was in grade school when I realized that the world was not available to all. I was actually in 3rd grade when I first witnessed deep poverty, violence, and prejudice for those who were different. I will always remember the life stories of some of my classmates that forever changed how I understood my place in the world and that led me to a life of public service. I wanted to help make the world a better place, and I still do. I am an ordained clergy person, and I have been a hospice chaplain for almost 30 years now. Through my work as a chaplain, I meet people from all walks of life. I go places where most people never go. I advocate for people, and I help people find solutions through difficult situations on a daily basis, every single day. And I want to bring the same kind of healthcare and human service experience to the people and businesses of Arlington Heights as your trustee. Together, I want to help us find creative and strong solutions to the biggest issues facing our community, our COVID-19 recovery needs, the urgent need to address climate change, and the need to be a more inclusive community. Our motto tells us we are a city of good neighbors, and I want to bring my healthcare and human service voice to the board to ensure we live our motto and have a bright future for all of us together. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bertucci, you may now begin your 2-minute opening statement.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you, as the others have thanked the League of Women Voters and the Arlington Heights Memorial Library for hosting this candidate forum. My name is Jim Bertucci. I am have been a resident of Arlington Heights for over 35 years. I have a business in town, have been in business for over 33 years, and actively involved in the Arlington Heights community for over 30 years. In reference to my civic involvement, the Arlington Heights Memorial Library, who is hosting this event, I have been a past board member of the Arlington Heights Memorial Library, elected back in 1999, served 9 years. I acted as the president of the Arlington Heights Memorial Library Board and also as the treasurer. And that's where I developed a strong bond with government accounting, particularly in connection with not only the library, but with interacting with the village. My other civic involvement include my current board position. I am the vice president of the Metropolis Performing Arts Theater, or Performing Arts at Metropolis, which includes the theater and the school. I have been a past president of the Arlington Heights Rotary Club, where we do a lot of service both locally and internationally. The Arlington Heights Chamber of Commerce. I'm a past president of the Arlington Heights Chamber of Commerce, past president of the Arlington Heights Crime Stoppers, and also past vice president of the Historical Society. In 2008, I was a recipient of a Heart of Gold from the Arlington Heights Events Commission that puts on that organization, but basically it's selected by the residents of Arlington Heights for City of Good Neighbors. Have also been awarded a Leader of the Year by the Arlington Heights Chamber of Commerce. I see my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Beiersdorf, you may now begin your 2-minute opening statement.
Hello, and again, thank you to the Women's Voters League as well as the library for hosting this. Again, I'm Will Beiersdorf. I've been a resident of Arlington Heights for 28 years, raised 3 boys here, and I've been involved in many organizations from the Rotary Club, the American Legion, St. James Catholic Church, the Knights of Columbus, and there's other things. My wife and I also founded Salute Inc., which helps injured veterans. We've been doing that for over 18 years. And my background is really diverse, as many know me about my veteran experience and the current work I do at Rush University, helping veterans and their families battling post-traumatic stress disorder and other invisible wounds of war in life. But I also was an auditor with a big public accounting firm. So I've got an extensive financial background. And I also have worked in technology, working in healthcare technology. The reason why I'm running is after 28 years of being in this village, the village has just treated us so well and done such good things for my family and I believe it's got a great foundation and it truly lives up to its motto of a city of good neighbors. And I want to build upon that. And I want to take my knowledge, skills, and abilities and help lead the village as we move forward. There's a lot of big things ahead of us. Arlington Park is definitely on the radar, along with challenges around diversity and inclusion, and also maintaining infrastructure and reliable, water and other types of services. So basically, I want to thank you here at the League as well as the library for hosting us. And I just want to, just thank the village for building a great foundation and, allowing us to live in a safe and secure place. So thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Dunnington, please begin your 2-minute opening statement.
Hi, thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum and the library as well. My name is Wendy Dunnington. I grew up in Bolingbrook, Illinois, which is a southwest suburb of Chicago, and I attended the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign and received my Bachelor of Science degree in finance. After college, I worked as a credit analyst in commercial banking, where I analyzed business financial statements and business plans. Next, I worked at the National Office of the Alzheimer's Association as a field auditor. And then I was promoted to the direct marketing department as a financial analyst, where I managed a $26 million budget. My husband, Josh, and I have been married for 25 years. We have 2 children, while we've been raising our family here in Arlington Heights for the last 16 years. When my daughter was unexpectedly diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, that's when we really knew how lucky we were to live in Arlington Heights, and I wanted to pay it forward. I've been volunteering hands-on in our local schools, my church, and numerous nonprofits. I have done a lot of fundraising for local organizations like Faith Community Homes, Viator House of Hospitality, Arlington Cares, and Wings, along with volunteering in our schools, for PADS, at Deer Grove Forest Preserve, and JDRF. I'm running for village trustee because I want the village to do more to address the urgent issue of climate change. There's a lot we can do at the local level, like adding green building codes and green infrastructure. I also want Arlington Heights to be a more diverse, equitable, and welcoming community. We can accomplish this by making sure that Arlington Heights remains an affordable, family-friendly community for our children and seniors alike. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move into the questions and answers portion of today's event. I'd like to remind the audience to send their questions to the number 224-306-9521 or email them to forum.lwvah@gmail.com. Candidate Baldino has 1 minute to answer the first question. The question is, funds have been approved to assist in the hiring of minorities for village positions. If elected, how would you work to ensure that the pool of minority candidates is sufficient to provide many qualified applicants?
So we just had a report from the Kaleidoscope Group that made recommendations to the village and village staff about how to address some issues with employment in the village. One of which is people not necessarily feeling safe or appreciated in their work, but also in casting a wider net to find qualified candidates to fill village positions. And this net is about building a network to reach out to people who are qualified to fill village positions and continue the great tradition we have of hiring great people and having them stay here for a very long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Grassi.
Thank you for the question. I have been following the DEI project with the village very closely. A lot of what I do as a chaplain is addressing diversity, equity, inclusion in all the people I visit and everywhere I go, and even before we called it that. But it seems to me that the most important piece is, as Rich was saying, really casting a wider net to make sure all different people are available to apply for the positions. And I know when I was in seminary at Chicago Theological Seminary in Hyde Park, and I know when we were seeking new employment, we made sure to send our information to many different sources just to get a bigger net of people to apply for the positions. It's really good to have people, a diverse group, and people who work at the village represent people who live in the village. Thank you. Thank you.
Candidate Bertucci.
Thank you, Lucy. I'm going to ask you to repeat the question for the candidates who will speak after me and also for the audience.
Absolutely. Funds have been approved to assist in the hiring of minorities for village positions. If elected, how would you work to ensure that the pool of minority candidates is sufficient to provide many qualified applicants?
Okay, thank you. So first, to understand the structure of our village government is to know that the village board basically sets policies, and what they do is they only have really one hire, and that is our village manager, Randy Recklaus. Randy will then turn and his department heads will be making hires. Now, when it comes to our part of that, obviously the policies and direction to Randy, our village manager, are going to be the part that we can play a role in. The recommendations made by the Kaleidoscope are important. I've looked at all 15 recommendations, and as a matter of fact, I have the document in front of me. And what's happening right now is the board has, yes, adopted that document, and they are waiting for those recommendations to come from staff. So I support that.
Thank you. Candidate Beiersdorf.
Yeah, so again, I agree with what everybody said. I don't want to mimic what everybody said, but again, casting a wider net and looking at all those different communities that we can see. And I think being as creative as possible. And yes, the responsibility does lie with Randy. We have that oversight and stuff, but we should also make sure that each of the directors, as they're hiring, give them the flexibility to figure out what they can do to identify those communities, and maybe not use the traditional paths that we've used in the past, but try other types of opportunities. There's a lot of good qualified people out there that I believe, would make good members of our village, and again, help us on this particular focus, and we want to stay focused on, of course, the qualifications, but we want to make sure that everybody has had an opportunity to, be exposed and informed about the opportunities to work at Arlington, because it's a great place to work at. There's great opportunities here. So casting a wider net and then going and doing the things that we wouldn't traditionally do, thinking outside the box on this particular item. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Candidate Dunnington.
It's hard to be at the end of this question because there's already been really great responses. I think we definitely need to reach out to some new areas for our hiring practices. It's really important that we proactively include so that we don't unintentionally exclude people. I think that's the key. Make sure that Arlington Heights is a welcoming community so people want to be in Arlington Heights. And when you have all of our residents will benefit when we have diversity in our community.
Thank you. Candidate Tenalia.
Thanks, Lucy. This is where I get to use my left side creative brain. You cannot just keep going at the same pace that you have in the same directions with all the same rules and all the same protocols if you want to make change. And the thing that I've heard our wonderful Mayor Tom Hayes say, and several panelists here today, is it's really about casting a broader net. There are qualified people out there. It's impossible to twist arms and get them to show up. But if we can get out to them and invite them to participate, maybe the fear of failure or not being accepted will be subsided, and then we can get some of these folks involved. I want the best. I want the best women and men in our fire department, our police department, our public works. I want the best. Our residents deserve that. I don't care what color they are, what culture they are, where they come from. I just want the best.
Thank you. We'll move on to our second question. This one's a little bit long, so I'll repeat it about halfway through the candidates. The Arlington 425 developer wants to choose between sections of the village's affordable housing agreement from May 2019 and its inclusionary affordable housing ordinance, whichever is more favorable to them. This was denied by the Housing Commission. When this issue comes before the board, would you vote to override the Housing Commission or rule that the developer must fully comply with either the agreement or the ordinance? We'll start this question with candidate Grassi.
Oh, thank you. That's a big, good question. Affordable housing is something very near and dear to my heart. It's affordable housing is a livability and a justice issue. And unfortunately, affordable housing does not appear in a community out of goodness of people's hearts. And this 425 issue, when they initially made the agreement for the affordable housing, it was a policy, and we now have an ordinance in place. And there are differences between the policy and the ordinance. And I really would defer to our Housing Commission. If they rejected it, it would be important to talk to all the parties involved. But I do think it's important to have a clear precedent for affordable housing going forward so that we can really bring affordable housing into our community. It's an important part of our community that people who work and live here, that people who work here can live here. And that's very much a part of what affordable housing does. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bertucci.
So, yeah, I would agree that you have a situation at 425 where they got caught on the switches, so to speak, as Nicole was mentioning. The current ordinance was adopted in August of 2020. I believe that project obviously was in the works before that. I would also agree, though, that we do have a current ordinance. The shovels aren't necessarily in the ground yet, and that we should look to the Housing Commission and look at what their recommendations are. Obviously, let's look to the spirit of the affordable housing ordinance, not necessarily always the letter of the law, but the spirit of with that, and then we can talk about negotiating from that standpoint. But I'd really like to see and make sure that there is a spirit of the ordinance, but not to the point where the developer cannot go through with the development. So there's a balance there.
Thank you. Candidate Beiersdorf.
Yeah, so I was on the Housing Commission back in the early 2000s and basically helped kind of build some of the foundations of what we see today. So, and I, again, Jim, you kind of took a little bit of what I was thinking about the spirit and the letter of what we're trying to accomplish. But I would defer to the Housing Commission, on what their recommendations or thoughts are. But again, I think the timing of this project and how things kind of fell into place is, so I think we have to really take time, but we've got to truly try to follow the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish, along with the letter of what's in the ordinance, and the focus of the ordinance. I mean, again, as Nicole said, we want people that work here to live here, right? And we want to make sure we have enough affordable, available housing. So finding that balance is critical. But again, I would defer to the Housing Commission, on this and really take a good look at what they're saying before a final decision is made.
Thank you. Candidate Dunnington will be next. I'll repeat the question right now, though. The Arlington 425 developer wants to choose between sections of the village's affordable housing agreement from May 2019 and its inclusionary affordable housing ordinance, whichever is more favorable to them. This was denied by the Housing Commission. When this issue comes before the board, would you vote to override the Housing Commission or rule that the developer must fully comply with either the agreement or ordinance?
I do not think that the 425 development should be able to choose the sections of the ordinance that they want to comply with. And I would defer to what the Housing Commission recommends in that instance. I think it's really important that people that work in Arlington Heights are able to live in Arlington Heights. It's good for the economy because when you receive your paycheck and you're spending your hard-earned dollars, we want people to spend their money at our restaurants, at our grocery stores, in our town. And so we want people to live and work in Arlington Heights.
Thank you. Candidate Tenalia.
Well, I can tell you that I spoke to that developer yesterday. And I'm not the developer of that project, but I know him very well. I'm the architect for that project. I've designed the buildings for that project. And I can tell you, he is absolutely going to follow the letter of the law for the new ordinance that was created by our village board. And after the meeting at the Housing Commission when that was complete, there was discussion that was had, and it was determined to do exactly that. So the good news is the fair housing, the affordable housing program will be met, and it'll be a wonderful, wonderful project for downtown Arlington Heights. And I hope, we'll see, time will tell when and how that gets built, but it will be wonderful. And as we expect, those rules will be followed.
Thank you. Candidate Baldino.
Thank you. And yes, in the past, we had a policy in place that caused every project that came into the village to be negotiated. And it was a long and tedious process. And so that was the driving effort, the driving idea behind putting this ordinance in place so that everybody knew what our expectations were and developers knew what we wanted new projects here in the village. I support the recommendation of the Housing Commission, but I also want this project to move forward. It's very important for this village to have this project move forward. I have full confidence that this developer will follow the ordinance and develop this project to a very successful conclusion to the benefit of the entire village, not just the project itself. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point in our program, we will be transitioning to our second ASL interpreter, Patty Shore-Caden. Her name on the Zoom call is ASL Interpreter, and if you need her services, please pin them now. Next, we'll be going to the following question, which is, an important issue for our village is managing our tax revenue. What ideas do you have to attract new businesses and retain our current businesses, acknowledging that the business rental rates are high? We'll start this question with candidate Bertucci.
Thank you, Lucy. So, the first introduction into taxes is to talk a little bit about our local taxes. And the Village of Arlington Heights, part of the tax that you receive when you get your tax bill represents 12% of that. I believe education represents something like 67%. So of that 12%, 80% of it is payroll to provide services. So your specific question asks for the tilt towards how to bring businesses in to help create sales tax and also that higher business tax, real estate tax rate. And I'm very in tune with that, and I would definitely work towards attracting more businesses. As past president of the Chamber of Commerce, I'm I work well with businesses, and I would do everything I can to attract quality tax-paying businesses into town.
Thank you. Candidate Beiersdorf.
Yes. So again, as Jim said, you know, I mean, 80% of the funding or of the cost of what we do in the village is staff. So there's not a lot of wiggle room there. But I believe the village has done a good job to keep the costs down, which is it's a positive thing. But when it comes to figuring out new revenues, I always want to be careful, because at the same time, you know, when you open that door up, it's like, you know, sometimes folks aren't too happy with that, but we do need to be innovative, but at the same time, find ways to keep it so that it's not a burden on businesses. You know, businesses are already strapped with so many different things that are going on, and also the post-COVID environment as we move through COVID. So I'm open to listening to figure out what we can do to attract new businesses, but I want to make sure that we're listening to businesses as well as what's going on the village side, and making sure that everybody's at the table, and then also trying to keep, you know, things affordable as well too. So whatever we can do to do that without infringing on quality of services. Again, it's a major balancing act, but again, I'm open to listening and seeing what we can do to make this place better, or make the opportunities better for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Candidate Dunnington.
I think it's really important for us to have more diversity in the businesses in town. I think that we should be looking at technology companies to come to this area, which we're missing out right now on. I think that it was a big mistake that the trustees didn't initially approve marijuana sales in our town when it first came to a vote, and that we only have a pilot project right now. I know that a business recently opened in Prospect Heights, which is just steps away from the boundaries of Arlington Heights. And we're missing out on the revenue of that business because we failed to initially approve those sales. I also think that we need to look at our expenses. And since most of our expenses are from salaries, we'll be looking to see if we need to fill all of our village positions. This year, 31% of employees are retiring, are eligible to retire, and next year, 34% are eligible to retire.
Thank you. Candidate Tenalia.
Thanks, Lucy. There's one enormous issue right now, and that is Arlington Park. The tax generation that we all enjoy from that facility is enormous. And if you don't already know, retail commercial property taxes are priced way higher than residential properties are. So for us all as residents to be comfortable and secure with reasonable tax bills, we have to maintain a strong commercial base. So what will happen to Arlington Park? Our legacy, it's in our logo pin, it's in everything we do. It is my hope if I'm blessed to be on this board for the next 4 years, is to find a replacement as big as the sky to be put on that site. I have strong opinions and ideas about that, but that tax generator alone is going to be enormous for all the other possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Baldino.
Thank you. And yes, I agree with Trustee Tenalia about the importance of the Arlington Park redevelopment. But I would also point out that the property tax revenue that we're receiving from Arlington Park isn't going to change. It's the loss in sales tax and food and beverage tax that will need to be replaced. And that is a key portion of the redevelopment that's going to happen at Arlington Park. I also have some big hopes and dreams for what happens at Arlington Park, just like Jim Tenalia said, and we will see how that plays out depending on who purchases that property. I think we need to continue to work with our partners at the Chamber of Commerce and the Economic Alliance to promote business in Arlington Heights and to promote business retention. And the non-flashy item is that we need to keep working on our infrastructure. No business wants to come here if our sewers are still flooding and our water mains continue to break. So looking forward to moving those infrastructure projects forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Grassi.
Thank you. It's a good question. I believe that an important role for the trustee is to always seek input from all the parties involved. And we have some amazing businesses in town. We have the Chamber of Commerce. We have the Economic Alliance. I'm really excited about what might be coming with the Maker's Mark, with the library. I mean, we might have some talented artisans who might be wanting to sell some things. I really believe seeking input from all the parties involved will help us seek some additional new, creative, bold revenue sources. I do agree that Arlington Park is going to be an interesting, good place to really do what we can do to bring in some great tax revenue. I was one who supported cannabis sales to support a current business from the get-go in town for the additional sales. So I think really taking a creative, bold, an alternative view of what is available and what's out there, and really seek alternative businesses with the input from all involved can bring about some really great businesses for our community that would also help with the sales tax revenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Our fourth question for today is, are you in support of tear downs in Arlington Heights? Would you support changing design guidelines such as zoning ordinances to meet current demand and encourage development? Candidate Beiersdorf, you'll go first.
Yeah, again, right up my alley, again, having served on the Housing Commission many years ago about tear down. So again, personally, I'm not a big fan of the tear down, but again, you can't dictate to people what they do with their property, right? But at the same time, with the tear down tax that we have now, and other things, I mean, we got to find a way to provide, to ensure the stock of housing, some of it, as much as possible, remains affordable without infringing upon people's, rights to develop that property. And I wish we had more than a minute for this question, but it's an important topic that we have a conversation, because I've heard things about, the tear down tax is too high, it's too low, we shouldn't have anything, but we should keep a focus on creating, and maintaining affordable housing stock without infringing upon the owners, because I don't want to defer or keep folks from wanting to buy property because they're going to have, these mandates. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the pathway is open for folks to come and live in our village.
Thank you. Candidate Dunnington.
Would you mind repeating the question for me?
Absolutely. Are you in support of tear downs in Arlington Heights? Would you support changing design guidelines such as zoning ordinances to meet current demand and encourage development?
Okay, thanks. I am not totally against tear downs. In some instances, it's appropriate, but I think we have to be careful about the number of tear downs that we have. I think that zoning laws do need to be changed. I would like to see some zoning laws, maybe where we can be more creative, where we can have things like a coach house or more townhouses or multi-unit developments in some areas in town that's appropriate. I think that we also need homes more in the median dollar range, and I would support that for the new Arlington Park, for the Arlington Park area that's going to be redeveloped. I think that there's a lot of young people that would like to live in Arlington Heights and start their family here, and this be a part of their community and really develop their roots here in Arlington Heights.
Thank you. Candidate Tenalia.
This is a great question. And one of the issues that we have is that the cost of construction is so high for new construction, lumber and materials and labor. And then the zoning ordinances are pretty restrictive as far as, what can be built on any given size piece of property. I would love, what the result is we lose so much of our small housing stock. And seniors who don't want to live in a 3,500 square foot expensive, $1.2 million home are out of options. What I would love to see happen, and there's many thinkers out there like me on this one who would like to see the zoning ordinances adjusted so that smaller homes can be built on smaller lots with smaller yards and smaller footprints, so that our seniors don't have to move out of town. Give them a place to live in town here, and it can work together. Not every house has to be 3,500 square feet. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Baldino.
Thank you. And yes, I agree exactly with what Trustee Tenalia just said, that we need to take a look at zoning ordinances to do what we can to hold on to our smaller, more affordable houses here in town. We also have to respect the rights of property owners to do what they want with their homes and to be able to renovate them. I'd love to see less tear downs and more renovations. And to that end, we did institute the penalty for increasing home sizes by more than 50% to encourage the renovation and the upkeep of those smaller, more affordable houses so that folks like our seniors can stay here and age in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Grassi.
Yes, hello. I do support tear downs in limited amounts. I do also want to maintain our moderately priced homes. And I definitely would revisit the zoning changes and ordinances just to make sure that we do allow more density, more moderately priced housing for our residents. I think it's very important to make sure we have a wide range of available options for housing, and revisiting our codes and ordinances is a great place to start to make sure that we can accommodate all of our residents with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bertucci.
Thank you. Obviously, a lot has been said already, and I'll kind of touch on some of the areas that I would agree on, and those would be the idea of balance that both Jim Tenali and Rich were indicating. Yeah, we need affordable housing. We need that stock not to be deteriorated by tear downs of large homes. We do have to, though, be careful that we don't step on too heavily the rights of property owners. But there is no question that a need to be careful with deterioration of what would be affordable housing in the area. My first house was in Hasbrook. It's a great area, concrete slab, great place to get started. The only other thing that I would add very quickly in my last 15 seconds is with the tear downs we also have to be careful of grading and how that also is playing into our some of our problems with flooding. And that would be the other thing that I would look at the same time. Thank you.
We're going to move to closing statements now. The candidates will be in the following order for their 2-minute closing statements. Candidate Dunnington, Candidate Beiersdorf, Candidate Bertucci, Candidate Grassi, Candidate Baldino, and Candidate Tenalia. Candidate Dunnington, please begin your 2-minute opening statement.
Thank you again to the League of Women Voters, especially the emerging leaders, for this opportunity today. Now that both of my children are in high school and more independent, I have the time to invest my efforts in our local government. While national politics greatly affect us, I feel that local politics can have a more powerful impact on our everyday lives. My professional experience in finance and my various contributions volunteering in the community would give the village board the financial and social service expertise necessary for effective village governance. Like all the candidates, I love Arlington Heights. I feel the 3 biggest issues facing the village are water infrastructure, making sure our community stays affordable with new sources of revenue to keep property taxes low, and supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts to make Arlington Heights a welcoming community for everyone. I want to support and improve our village endeavors in green infrastructure, housing, safety, and inclusion so that we continue to be the village of good neighbors. You can go to my website at wendyfortrustee.com or read my Patch or Daily Herald questionnaires for more information about my campaign. I provide thoughtful and specific ideas regarding the issues that face our community. Please vote for me on Tuesday, April 6th.
Thank you. Candidate Beiersdorf, you may now begin your 2-minute closing statement.
Thanks again to the library and to the league for this opportunity to share who we are and what our thoughts and our perspectives are. Again, after 28 years, I believe it's time for me to step up and continue to serve. that's been my focus in life with my family and I, with my knowledge and background experience, not just in the healthcare arena, in the nonprofit, or even in the auditing and other technology businesses. I believe I bring to the table, a good, well-rounded knowledge, skills, and abilities to help the village as we move forward. There's a lot of things that are on our plate, with the future of Arlington Park, maintaining a strong infrastructure, making sure that our village, is a welcoming, inclusive place, and working on those things, and also maintaining the overall quality of life and safety of our village. So again, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to serving as a trustee, and I hope as people have watched all of us and learned about us, that they have gleaned, some perspective of who we are and how we would help the village. And I believe each of us, wants to do. We want to make this village better, as we move forward. It's got a great foundation of values, and it's got some incredible strengths. But as we move forward, I want Arlington to be here for the next 28 years, hopefully for my kids or future generations, and experience what I've experienced. And I know what each of us have experienced over these times. So again, thank you to the league and to the library. And again, if you'd like to learn more about my campaign and about me, you can go at elect Will Beiersdorf, or you can email me at Beiersdorf for trustee at yahoo.com. And again, thank you for the opportunity to be on this forum today.
Thank you. Candidate Bertucci.
Thank you, Lucy. And again, thank you to the Arlington Heights Memorial Library and the League of Women Voters, and to the audience. So I guess I would sum up for my closing would be that I feel ready to hit the ground running with my previous involvement in town, my civic involvement in town, my financial background. And I would also like to just spend a few minutes on some of the topics that I think we didn't get a chance to quite talk on that are important. And one would be obviously the coronavirus. Getting as many of our citizens and our residents in Arlington Heights vaccinated. I know we still have to continue to work closely with regional agencies and governments, but let's continue to work closely with our hospital partner and other agencies to get as many people vaccinated as possible. Let's keep everybody safe. We're at a decline of about 18% from 2 weeks ago on cases. And from my understanding, in the state of Illinois, 50% of Illinois residents that are 65 and older are vaccinated. Secondly, I want to talk a little bit about the capital projects that are in place. We have to continue to stabilize our infrastructure with 200 plus average of water main breaks a year. That's still a lot. We've got problems with some of the mains that went in the 50s and 60s and how they were graded in the 70s. So we have to continue to do that. I'd like to continue to endorse the overhead sewers that are 75% cost shared by the village. I think that's a good idea for continuing to get these homes from flooding inside their homes, which is very hard to take when that combined sewer and rainwater. With that, I see my time is up, and thank you for again for putting this program together.
Thank you so much. Candidate Grassi.
Oh, thank you, League of Women Voters, the Memorial Library, Lucy and Katie for hosting this candidate forum today. It was really good to be here. I have dedicated my entire life to public service. As a hospice chaplain, I support people from all experiences, all cultures, all religions, and all economic levels. I listen and I involve them in creating solutions to the problems that matter most. And I want to bring the same kind of listening and action to all the people and businesses of Arlington Heights as your trustee as we go forward with all the decisions we will be making. I believe the only constant in life is change. My entire life, professional life, is helping people adjust to changes in life. In Arlington Heights, we have a rich history with much to honor and celebrate. We love it here. We also have some parts of our history to learn from, and we have many new challenges to respond to in our rapidly changing world. COVID-19 has highlighted our interconnectedness and how what happens to one affects us all. So together, I want to help us find creative and strong solutions to some of the biggest issues facing our community, our COVID-19 recovery, the urgent need to address climate change through green initiatives and clean energy, and the call to be a more inclusive community where all are welcome and all have a place. Along with my healthcare and human service skill set, I will maintain a conservative financial approach to the responsible use of our tax dollars to best benefit our village. I will also bring an understanding of the human condition, a creative and hope-filled perspective, a growth mindset, and a lifetime of public service and justice work so that every one of us can live our best life here in Arlington Heights and leave our younger generations an even better Arlington Heights. My healthcare and human service experiences are perfectly suited to be on the village board. My healthcare and human service experiences are a much needed voice on the village board as we work to find continued ways to be a city of good neighbors and ensure a future of growth and quality of life for all of us together. I ask for your vote, and I thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Remember, your vote is your voice is your vote. Please vote. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Baldino.
Thank you. And once again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters in the Arlington Heights Memorial Library for holding this forum, our moderator, Lucy Nisi, and all of those at home that are watching either live or the recording. I am running to create a more sustainable village for every resident and business here in Arlington Heights. I'm looking for more diverse businesses to open in the village, which will create a more resilient business community that will resist economic downturns. I'm looking to improve our infrastructure, which will improve our residents' lives now and strengthen our community for the long run, while doing what we can to hold the line on taxes and fees. I'm looking to have a more inclusive community, and inclusive is the key word there. Acceptance is like being asked to the dance. Inclusive is being asked to dance. An inclusive community will make our village stronger and make our community more welcoming to all those that wish to live, work, or visit here. I hope to have your vote for re-election in the April 6th election for Village Board Trustee. For more information, you can go to baldinofortrustee.com or on Facebook at Neighbors for Baldino. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidate Tenalia.
Thanks again, Lucy, and everyone at the library and the league. Again, this is a wonderful opportunity for all of us, and thank you for your time and your dedication to this program. For me, I don't really have anything else I can say that I already haven't said. I am so dug into this town. It's hard to find someone more dug in. 50 years here, all through my grade school and my children, same thing, and my wife. We are lifers. And my career, being an architect, is one that forces me to be successful at what I do. I have to use all the tools in my tool belt. And as a trustee over the last 8 years, I've been challenged to use all of those tools. And it's interesting how often they become important, and it sometimes changes the direction of dialogue for the entire board, because I can bring perspective and ideas to the discussion that maybe otherwise might not have taken place. I think I mentioned before, I listen 80% of the time. I'm a good listener. I have to be a good listener for my clients. So I've learned to be a really good listener, and I speak 20% of the time. When I feel like what I think I understand is accurate and correct, I'll share my opinions, and then we move on. And it's important that we as a group work together like that. We are right now, our village board, I think, are some wonderfully smart people, and together we've gotten some wonderful things done. I cannot wait. I truly hope you elect me to be a part of the team that works for the next 4 years on making Arlington Park something wonderful to be proud of and help decrease our taxes. I hear it again and again. Keep my taxes low. That's my job. Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you to the audience for attending this candidate forum. As a note, you'll see in the chat that you can find your voting resources from your library at https://www.ahml.info/research/civic. So that is a resource open to you. I will now return to our MC.
Thank you, Lucy, for being our moderator. Please make sure to register to vote, make your plan to vote, and then make sure your voice is counted this election day. Need help? Your library and the League of Women Voters Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, Buffalo Grove are here to help. Check out our website at LWV-AH.org for voter registration. Yes, you can register online. Mail-in vote information, planning your ballot, as well as your early and day of polling locations. You can find our amazing library at ahml.info. Again, check us out at lwvah.org and follow us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We even have accounts specifically for youth at student.lwvah and a mascot at Pause for Votes. And make sure once you're ready to vote, you tell 10 friends where they can find all the information they need to be counted. lwvah.org. We are all grateful to you all for joining us and to our candidates, Jim Tenalia, Richard Baldino, Jim Bertucci, Will Byersdorf, Wendy Dunnington, and Nicole Grassi. Our democracy relies on citizens willing to run for office. To our ASL interpreters, Stacy Shine Stapleton and Patty Shore Caden, and to all of the volunteers of our league who work tirelessly to bring you this free program. Have a great day.